Deuteronomy Chapter 22. You shall not see your brother's ox or his sheep straying and neglect them, you must return them to your brother. And if your brother is not nearby you, or if you do not know who he is, you shall bring it to your house. And it shall be with you until your brother demands it, then you shall return it to him. And thus shall you do with his donkey, and thus shall you do with his clothing, and thus shall you do with any of your brother's lost things, which he has lost and you have found. You may not neglect them. You shall not see your brother's donkey or his ox fallen by the way and neglect them, you must lift them up with him. A woman shall not put on a man's belongings, nor shall a man wear a woman's garment, for everyone who does these things is an abomination to Jehovah your God. If you happen to come upon a bird's nest in the way, in any tree or on the ground, and in it are young birds or eggs, and the mother sitting upon the young birds or upon the eggs, you shall not take the mother with the young. You must let the mother go, but the young you may take for yourself, that it may go well with you and that you may extend your days. When you build a new house, you shall make a low wall around the edge of your roof so that you do not put the guilt of blood on your house if someone falls from it. You shall not sow your vineyard with two kinds of seed, lest the full produce, the seed which you sow, be forfeited to the sanctuary, as well as the increase of the vineyard. You shall not plow with an ox and a donkey together. You shall not wear clothing of mixed materials, of wool and linen together. You shall make twisted cords upon the four corners of your garment with which you cover yourself. If a man takes a wife and goes in unto her, and later despises her, and charges her with shameful deeds and spreads an evil report about her, and says, I took this woman, and when I drew near to her, I did not find her to be a virgin. Then the girl's father and her mother shall take and bring forth the evidence of the girl's virginity to the elders of the city at the gate. And the girl's father shall say to the elders, I gave my daughter to this man as a wife, but he despised her. And now he charges her with shameful deeds, saying, I did not find your daughter to be a virgin. But this is the evidence of my daughter's virginity. And they shall spread the cloth before the elders of the city. Then the elders of that city shall take the man and chastise him. And they shall fine him 100 shekels of silver and give it to the girl's father, for he spread an evil report against a virgin of Israel. And she shall be his wife, he may not send her away all his days. But if this claim is true, the girl was not found to be a virgin. They shall bring the girl out to the entrance of her father's house, and the men of her city shall stone her with stones so that she dies, for she has done folly in Israel by committing fornication in her father's house. Thus you shall utterly remove the evil from your midst. If a man is found lying with a woman married to a husband, both of them shall die, the man who was lying with the woman and the woman. Thus you shall utterly remove the evil from Israel. If a girl who is a virgin is engaged to a man, and a man finds her in the city and lies with her, you shall bring both of them out to the gate of that city and stone them with stones so that they die, the girl because she did not cry out in the city, and the man because he humbled his neighbor's wife. Thus you shall utterly remove the evil from your midst. But if the man finds the engaged girl in the field, and the man overpowers her and lies with her, only the man who was lying with her shall die. But to the girl you shall not do anything, there is no sin worthy of death with the girl, for as it is when a man rises up against his neighbor and slays him, so is this matter. For he found her in the field, the engaged girl cried out and there was no one to save her. If a man finds a girl who is a virgin and is not engaged, and seizes her and lies with her, and they are found, the man who is lying with her shall give 50 shekels of silver to the girl's father. And she shall be his wife, because he humbled her, he may not send her away all his days. A man shall not take his father's wife, so that he does not uncover the skirt of his father's garment. Deuteronomy Chapter 23. He who has been wounded in the testicles or has the male organ cut off shall not enter the congregation of Jehovah. An illegitimate child shall not enter the congregation of Jehovah, even to the 10th generation, no descendant of his shall enter the congregation of Jehovah. An Ammonite or a Moabite shall not enter the congregation of Jehovah, even to the 10th generation, no descendant of theirs shall enter the congregation of Jehovah forever. Because they did not come to meet you with bread and water in the way when you were coming out of Egypt, and because they hired Balaam the son of Beor from Pethor of Mesopotamia against you, to curse you. But Jehovah your God would not listen to Balaam, and Jehovah your God turned the curse into a blessing for you, for Jehovah your God loved you. You shall not seek peace with them nor prosperity with them all your days forever. You shall not abhor an Edomite, for he is your brother. You shall not abhor an Egyptian, for you were a sojourner in his land. The children of the 3rd generation who have been begotten of them may enter the congregation of Jehovah. When you as a camp go forth against your enemies, you shall keep yourself from every evil thing. If there is among you a man who becomes unclean because of an accident in the night, he shall go outside the camp, he shall not enter into the midst of the camp. But when evening approaches, he shall bathe in water, and when the sun goes down, he shall enter into the midst of the camp. And you shall have an assigned place outside the camp, and there you shall go out. And you shall have a spade among your tools, and when you relieve yourself outside the camp, you shall dig with it and turn to cover your excrement. For Jehovah your God walks in the midst of your camp to rescue you and deliver up your enemies before you, therefore your camp shall be holy, and he must not see any indecent thing among you, lest he turn back from going after you. You shall not deliver to his master the slave who has escaped from his master to you. He shall dwell with you, even in your midst, in the place which he chooses among your towns, wherever he pleases, you shall not oppress him. There shall not be a cult prostitute among the daughters of Israel, nor shall there be a cult prostitute among the sons of Israel. You shall not bring the payment for a harlot or the price for a dog into the house of Jehovah your God for any vow, for both of them are an abomination to Jehovah your God. You shall not make your brother pay interest, interest on money, interest on food, interest on anything on which one pays interest. You may make a foreigner pay interest, but you shall not make your brother pay interest, in order that Jehovah your God may bless you in all your undertakings upon the land which you are entering to possess. When you vow a vow to Jehovah your God, you shall not delay in paying it, for Jehovah your God would certainly require it of you, and it will become sin in you. But if you refrain from vowing, it will not become sin in you. What proceeds out of your lips you shall keep and do, as you have vowed to Jehovah your God voluntarily, which you have promised with your mouth. When you enter your neighbor's vineyard, you may eat grapes as your soul desires, until you are satisfied, but you shall not put any into a vessel of yours. When you go into your neighbor's standing grain, you may pluck some ears with your hand, but you shall not wield a sickle upon your neighbor's standing grain. Deuteronomy Chapter 24. When a man takes a woman and marries her, if she does not find favor in his sight, because he has found some indecency in her, and he writes her a bill of divorce and puts it in her hand and sends her away from his house. And she goes forth from his house and goes to be another man's. And the latter husband despises her and writes her a bill of divorce and puts it in her hand and sends her away from his house, or if the latter husband, who has taken her as his wife, dies. Then the former husband, who sent her away, may not return to take her again to be his wife after she has been defiled. For that is an abomination before Jehovah, and you shall not cause the land to sin, which Jehovah your God is giving you as an inheritance. When a man takes a new wife, he shall not go out with the army, nor shall he be charged with any duty, he shall be free at home for 1 year, and he shall make his wife happy, whom he has taken. One shall not take a hand mill or an upper millstone as a pledge, for he takes the livelihood as a pledge. If a man is found kidnapping someone from among his brothers of the children of Israel, and deals with him as a slave or sells him, then that kidnapper shall die. Thus you shall utterly remove the evil from your midst. Be careful in a case of leprosy to carefully keep and do all that the Levitical priests instruct you, as I commanded them, so shall you be certain to do. Remember what Jehovah your God did to Miriam on the way when you came out of Egypt. When you lend anything to your neighbor, you shall not enter his house in order to take his pledge. You shall stand outside, and the man to whom you are lending shall bring the pledge out to you. And if he is a poor man, you shall not sleep with his pledge. You must return his pledge to him when the sun goes down, so that he may sleep in his mantle and bless you, and it will be righteousness to you before Jehovah your God. You shall not oppress a poor and needy hired servant among your brothers or among the sojourners with you, who are in your land within your gates. On the day he earns it, ye shall give him his wages, and the sun shall not go down upon it, for he is poor and his life depends on it, lest he cry against you to Jehovah and it becomes sin in you. Fathers shall not be put to death because of their children, nor shall children be put to death because of their fathers, every man shall be put to death for his own sin. You shall not distort justice to a sojourner or an orphan, nor shall you take a widow's garment as a pledge. But you shall remember that you were a slave in Egypt and that Jehovah your God ransomed you from there, therefore I am commanding you to do this thing. When you reap your harvest in your field and you forget a sheaf in the field, you shall not turn back to gather it, it shall be for the sojourner, the orphan, and the widow, in order that Jehovah your God may bless you in all your undertakings. When you beat down the fruit of your olive tree, you shall not go over the boughs afterward, it shall be for the sojourner, the orphan, and the widow. When you cut the grapes from your vineyard, you shall not glean afterward, it shall be for the sojourner, the orphan, and the widow. And you shall remember that you were a slave in the land of Egypt, therefore I am commanding you to do this thing.